What's up, everybody? Today we're talking about updates on Meghan and Harry's departure and a lot more on Black Hollywood Live's The Trend.
You're tuned into Black Hollywood Live, the world's first digital broadcast network devoted entirely to urban entertainment and pop culture. Tune in right now.
What's up, everybody?
Hey!
We are back. It's 2020.
back.
We coming back with
2020.
energy,
Yes.
baby. That's what I'm talking about. Welcome
Yes.
to Black Hollywood Live, The Trend. I'm Derrial, Christon. I got a full panel today.
It's full
Some
of
old faces on this panel
I
today.
know, people ain't seen it in years.
But we're gonna start off with the new face. Well, we're gonna start off with let's start with the new face.
Okay, we'll
so we
start with
got
the new
we got the
face.
new face right now. We got Dr. Venus Opal Reese, author Dr. Venus Opal Reese with us today. She's gonna talk about her book, her tour, and all that fun stuff. Now I'm gonna go to the old school folks over here.
school.
Well, you already know Courtney Stewart.
Because I'm here all the time.
All
I'm
the
back.
time.
I'm back.
She got a
I'm
Rock Him
back.
t-shirt on
I
right
do.
now.
Y'all
I
like it?
that.
I made
It's
it.
vintage. I'm feeling that.
No, I made it.
Did you really?
I did. I designed it and had it printed. by
So are you
friends.
Are you doing? We're gonna talk about that.
We'll talk about that later. Yeah.
All right, y'all.
Courtney dabbling in fashion now.
You know what I'm saying? Dabbling in fashion, host fashion,
Okay,
you know,
merch.
fashionista.
You know, gotta do what we gotta do.
This other
Make some
old
coins.
face up here, you guys haven't seen him on Black Hollywood Live in a long time.
I know, you might
but
not
he started
recognize
off with
him.
us. You may not recognize him now because now he's a big writer.
He's a
for-
grown man, guys. He's a grown man.
Oh, we can do
He's
a
a-
10-year challenge.
You know, I'm just saying, he's a big writer now on Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yes, he
We
is.
have Nick Perdue with us today. Getting them checks.
Black
Getting them
excellence,
checks.
honey.
Black
Yes.
excellence. And he
Love
got
it.
80 rings on his finger. And we're going to show that.
Except the wedding ring. Ain't you
It's a-
married?
Right.
No, I'm not married. No.
Okay.
That's what, we're going to find that out as well.
What about on Front Street? You guys should get on this.
That's what family does,
That's
right?
what we do.
That's what it's all about.
That's what we do.
Dr. Venus, you fit right into this family. It's like you old school. It's like you've been here 15 times
And I'm
yourself.
so happy that you embraced me.
Well, we're happy to have you.
Thank you
So
so
We're
much.
going to talk about your book. We're going to talk about Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But let's first talk about these topics that everybody's talking about this week.
Topics. Talking about topics.
Wow.
Talking about family. It was the holidays. Everybody, y'all had good holidays and
Too
enjoyed
quick,
your
though.
family
It was too
time.
quick.
It was too quick. It was too quick. Well, apparently, it wasn't quick enough for Meghan and Harry because after these holidays, they rolled up and said, "Guess what?
We
King,
out."
Queen, deuces. Okay, we moving to the North Americas. We gonna raise our family there." And we don't really care what you got to say about it. So they were straight up left. That verdict came down from them. What was that, last week? And they basically sent it out over Instagram, which was straight up savage.
Savage.
Word on the street is grandma, grandpa, and aunties and uncles didn't nobody know it was going down.
Nope.
They scooped up little Archie and got on a boat and peaced out. So we've obviously been talking about this for a couple weeks now, and we heard
Archie.
from they did. They scooped up Archie and said, "You getting out of here, brother." Anyway, so we heard from the Queen this week, and there was all kind of chattering going on, and the Queen basically said, "We fully support them, even though we're disappointed that they don't want to stay on as full-time royals." But there is a lot of chirping going on saying that she really couldn't do anything else. She just kind of had to go with it, and that a lot of the family was concerned that Meghan was going to do a tell-all interview if they didn't grant her the right to get out, basically, and set herself free and let that bird fly. But so in the meantime, for a few days, we hadn't seen Meghan or Harry and going on, but on Wednesday, Meghan resurfaced. She was volunteering at a women's shelter, because also we didn't know exactly where they were going. They said North America, but where's that? Like, there could be lots of different places. I thought Toronto maybe, but they ended up in Vancouver.
Yeah. Okay. I thought Toronto too, actually.
Yeah, I thought Toronto for a little while just because that's where she filmed Suits and she had a house there and things like that. But apparently they went, but then I was like, but her mom is still really far from Toronto. Vancouver would definitely be closer and still very Hollywood. So
Very true.
apparently they've made their way to Vancouver.
Okay.
And Meghan's there with little Archie, and she's volunteering with the women's shelters, letting everybody know she's still living and she is doing all right, even though all these little racist magazines keep sending all these little racist little notes
They
to
do.
her and all kinds of horrible things. Even Piers Morgan, who needs to shut up, had his own things to say about how horrible she is. Harry went back to the families. Apparently they had like a little secret quiet meeting too that Meghan didn't call in for, that we all heard about. And but Harry's, he made his final appearance. Like, we finally saw him again since the announcement yesterday. He was judging a rugby match or something, I don't know.
Sounds like
But
Harry.
he's in public now. he's alive. Nobody cut off his head or anything like that. But for the time being, they've made choices for their family, and some people are like, some parts of the world are like, yeah, go Meghan, you're like choosing yourself, and then other parts of the world are kind of like, she's horrible. Like, how could she make him do this?
So interesting.
What y'all think?
First and foremost, it's always interesting to me that black women get villainized for a whole family, a culture, a people, a race, a world. I get frustrated. And I know I'm on my best behavior, so I'm not going to curse.
Oh, you don't have to be.
You don't understand.
We on the internet, you can say whatever.
I got the note that said I can't curse, guys,
Okay.
and I'm trying my best. But the thing that frustrated me is I don't mind people having an opinion about public figures. It comes with the territory.
Right,
That's
sure.
going to happen. The thing that drives me a bit bananas is the attack that's racial and sexual. Or racial and gender. I mean, if you just look at the tweets and the stuff around monkey baby, it's malicious intent and it's cowardly because they're not going to come out and say it to my face. You're going to do it behind a computer.
Yeah.
That's insulting to me. If you're going to fight where I come from, we can do this.
Yeah.
Frontal fight we can
Right,
do.
right.
But behind a computer or Twitter, it's a cowardly move.
I agree. Yeah.
So I get frustrated with how we get villainized and that we become the target for a family choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she make it sound like her husband and have me say so.
Right. I mean, here's the thing, though. We all know that Harry is the rebel in the family anyway.
Right.
He always has been.
He probably been trying to get out.
Y'all
for
saw those
years.
Vegas pictures, you know what
Yes.
I'm saying? Years ago, before there was a Meghan, he's always been the rebel. So it's like, how are they now acting like he's like William, where it's like, okay, do what you're told. You know what I mean? And he's never been that, you know? And let's go back to Diana. She was a rebel, too.
Yes.
You know, they had problems with her. You know what I mean? So
they did.
don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
You know, but I hate that it turns racial though. You know what I mean? The monkey stuff is just, it's like, come on, we 2020. We still get called monkeys. I mean, come on.
And to attack her baby.
And
That's
the baby,
the thing
though.
is like, how you
Yeah.
gonna come for somebody's baby?
Yes.
It's just maddening. And the thing that I appreciate is how they're handling it. Because
Yeah.
had it been me, all the blackness in me would have just poured out on Twitter. I wouldn't have been able to help myself. But just like, President Bush can't help him. I'm like, what's that? They all the same to me. Trump, he can't stop
The
himself.
orange terror.
You know what?
Yeah.
We give him a tweet and he says his piece. I don't know if I would have been as dignified. And it makes me respect her more.
Yes.
Because she's not getting ugly about it. She's not
Right.
even dancing with it.
Right,
I
she's
don't know
not.
if I could have.
Yeah.
That's a shot.
Go ahead, Nick.
She should just write a book. Write a tell-all anyway.
That's
Do it
coming.
anyway.
You know that's
Right,
coming.
yeah.
Do you think it's coming
I
out?
think it's going to be a
I don't
couple
think
years.
it's ever coming.
I think it'll be like 3 or 4 years. I think if anyone would do it, Meghan would do it.
See, I don't think she
would.
will. I think she will hold on to that but I think she is going to go live her life. They're about to make so much money. It's
Are
going
they?
to be insane. They're going to be rich. She's going to be fine. She's going to live the life that she wants to live. And I think that she will never give them the satisfaction of being able to say, see, we knew you were going to do that. That's why you weren't one of us to begin with. And I don't think she'll ever give them that satisfaction. I hope she doesn't.
I'll do it.
There will be lots of unauthorized ones for
true.
sure. But I think that because I think that they, even though maybe the whole Instagram thing was kind of wild that they just put it out on Instagram,
Yeah.
grandma didn't know, like it was kind of rough.
Yeah.
But I do think that she honors what that legacy is, and I don't think she would want to compromise that by doing what they already think is.
I think she loves
gonna
her
respect
husband.
Exactly.
I think that she loves her husband. I think she loves her family. And I think that the way it's positioned in the media is that if it's a tell-all, it's like giving some dirt
don't
on-
bash them.
Right. Instead of, she could write a book anytime she wants.
Right.
But it could be positioned as a tell-all, even if it's not.
Yeah. Right.
That's the way
That's
the media
true.
works. So
She could definitely write a memoir.
Exactly.
But I feel like the trash and stuff that
I
they
don't think she'll do
want,
that.
I don't think she's ever
She
done
may
that.
not
she's
do
a
that.
classy chick. I don't see it.
yeah.
I don't think she's that kind of woman.
Yes.
I don't see. She hasn't done it yet, and she's had plenty of opportunities to cut ugly.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
Does anybody else want to just go to a Harry and Meghan dinner party though?
I'm just trying to.
I do. Can y'all come to LA and invite a brother
I'm like, Megan,
or sister
Or
or
two.
family?
All of us, we can do it. We rolling packs.
talk to us
I wanna
and
chill
Black
with
Hollywood
Harry. I want
Live.
to chill with Harry.
I want to hang out with Harry.
I wanna
have
play
a
some
glass
rugby.
of wine or some tequila with Harry.
Yes, let's have a couple drinks. We can chat. It'll be a comfortable environment for you, and we can talk about your initiatives and all that you want to take over. He's running
Nonprofits.
things with Oprah on
Oprah,
Apple.
they got the-
and-
yeah, a whole bunch
yeah.
of stuff.
So
Yeah.
they've got he's doing all the the depression or mental
Illness.
health
Yeah, mental illness.
documentaries on with Oprah. So yeah, I mean they got a whole life ahead of them. They're gonna be just fine.
And I'm gonna say one more thing, and then I'll be quiet. I think is I love that they're going after their own financial independence.
Yes.
I mean, could you imagine letting go of the royals? And so, you know what?
So y'all don't think that he ain't getting no little side check?
Well, they said that
You know
he's
what I'm saying?
probably going to be held until
secret
he
side
gets
check.
to the point. But like, don't get it twisted. The royals, like, a lot of what they had is like owned by the state. Like they're like living in houses that aren't necessarily owned by them, so they get an allowance and things like that. So I mean,
Access without ownership still counts as a
it
privileged
counts.
life.
It's access, but they're not giving up access. And I don't think the Queen's ever going to completely cut down their access because they're pivotal as much as they might not want to admit it. Meghan and Harry are kind of important to the forward movement of the monarchy.
That's true.
That's
yeah.
true.
And holding on to it. So, and just a shout out to our fan Variety D in London. She hit me up with some information about what was going on with Megxit and how black folks over there are kind of feeling about it. And she made a comment basically that she's glad that they're making the choices that they're making, but she hopes that it doesn't completely remove Harry from everything, and she'd like to see him still at like some of the big events and things like that where he has to wear his uniform and things like that. So there's still some honoring and respect for the monarchy and tradition that they would like for Harry and Meghan to kind
And
of
it sounds
hold
like
on to.
they sound like they're compliant. I don't hear them saying deuces bounce. I hear them saying we want to be individuals.
Yes.
And that's a worthy thing in this climate to have people of their caliber and stature say, you know what, it's okay to venture out, be an entrepreneur, do your thing, and still honor your roots. Because to me, it's like they're honoring their roots, their heritage,
yes, for sure,
on both sides of the water. You know. So.
But do you think that now that they're back over here, though, that Meghan had a little bit of crazy family? They was trying to put all the business out on blast. You think they're gonna be trying more now that they're back?
Well, they're not going to stop. They've
They
been
got a little
doing
messy.
it. They're not going to stop. He's already supposed to be, the dad is supposed to be like testifying against her for the lawsuit against the Daily Mail or something. It's some crazy, it's a mess. But there's one more thing. Whoever already tried to trademark the Royal Sussex before them in America, because they went to get the trademark and they got it, I believe, in Europe, but they couldn't get it in America because there's already application in on it. Somebody was very entrepreneurial and smart. So if they get that,
good for them.
They're gonna pay for
I
it.
mean, Meghan and Harry obviously might have a bigger claim to it, but it usually goes first come, first serve. So if they get that, and they can be like, yo, you can have it.
Right.
But it's going to cost you.
It's gonna cost you.
Like, why did I think of that?
No one. It's like getting the copyright to Happy Birthday.
Yes.
No one thinks that far ahead.
That's true.
Or that Blue Ivy copyright.
Oh, Blue Ivy's
Ivy.
going to be a.
Yeah.
I don't know what she's going to be. She's going to run the world.
Yeah. Well, there you go, guys. Good luck, Megan.
Good
we
luck.
appreciate you guys. And
Invite us to that dinner party.
best.
We waiting for them invites.
We're here for you.
I'll go check my mail today.
Yes.
It's so quick.
Yes.
Quick.
Yes.
Putting it out there.
Speaking of Oprah and documentaries, Oprah was also back in the news this week about this Russell Simmons documentary that is coming up. It's about to premiere at Sundance on January 25th. And some of the ladies who are speaking in the documentary were doing their press rounds, and they were on CBS this week and discussing basically what is in the documentary. And the three women that have been on the press tour are Drew Dixon, Celia Abrams, and Alexia Norton-Jones. They all three have accused Russell Simmons of rape. And so the documentary is coming. The issue has been that Oprah was attached to the documentary initially. And Russell Simmons, obviously last month, kind of went on a tirade against Oprah for saying that, they were friends. Like, how dare you? Like, like, how are you attached to this? It's fundamentally not true. He completely denies all of these allegations. He says he admits to have been a playboy in a different time. But he has never done any violence towards any woman ever. These are all lies. And he's taken 9 lie detector tests to prove it. He said he was trying to prove it to his daughters because he obviously has some young daughters that would be like, Dad, what? Anyway, so the documentary is still going forward. It was going to be at Sundance whether Oprah was on it or not. Some people gave Oprah some flack for coming off the documentary, but she did say that although she had creative differences about how they were portraying the stories, and she didn't feel like they put enough context to the times, which is suspect, but we'll talk about it. She said they didn't put enough context to the times. She does, however, believe the women wholeheartedly, even though she cannot go forward with her name on the documentary. Are y'all ready for the documentary? What y'all think?
I'll be watching it.
I mean, you can't trust yogis, huh? That's what I've learned.
What does that mean?
That's
Bikram.
Bikram was...
Yeah.
He was a yogi.
Yeah, he was a yogi.
Right?
Oh, you went all the way in the cut.
You went deep.
Oh, he went all the way in.
Because there was just a documentary.
It was just a
That's one
documentary.
reason why
Yeah.
I was
Oh, okay.
on your front
Yeah.
side.
Yeah.
Wow.
But, I mean, Russell, I don't know if he did or if he didn't. You know, I like to believe victims. You know, and so
You like to believe victims. That's interesting. Like every time. I mean, do you have to be presented with a certain amount of facts before you believe them, or you just automatically go?
Well, yes. Like if there's a story, like and someone has an accusation, okay, like let's listen to the accusation. So we listen to that first, and then we listen to the facts, and I lean towards the victim, and I try to make the guilty person innocent if it didn't happen.
I got you. Okay.
You know? Like that's the way like I look at stuff like this now, just because it's like it's such a big thing.
Yeah.
So I stand with Oprah.
Okay. All right.
This is a little challenge. I'm trying, God help me. So, I think that, one, I don't like the word victim. I have my own reasons for that, but I'm not going to play with that for now, and I know your intentions are pure.
I'm going to come back to that because I want to know what that means. We're going to get back to that. Noted.
Okay.
Just saying.
But so when I think about R. Kelly, when I think about Bill Cosby, when I think about different people who are celebrities, to give it some context, they had liberties, they had access, and they had permission socially to take actions that didn't occur to them as a rape. Okay? See, rape didn't become legal until the 70s. And it became illegal because it was about a violent act, not about the sex act, right? So when Russell says he can pass a lie detector test because he didn't think he did it, he don't think he did shit. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So I can't, and as a street girl, I know how to pass a lie detector. If you believe yourself enough, you can pass a lie detector test. You have to believe
That's
it.
true.
Yep.
I believe
So
that.
I don't take that to case. In terms of Oprah being attached to it, Oprah has dealt with this in her personal life. I mean, like, she was, she's gone through some things.
Yeah.
So I can see why she would be attached to it at an emotional level, and her girls in Africa went through this. And she's never won a case. Every one of those girls who ever said someone raped them or touched them, she never won a case. And I can see why she would be attached to it emotionally. In terms of fairness, I don't think anything that is done in the media will ever be fair. I don't think it can be.
That's deep.
Because it's only coming from a point of view. The point of view will be jaded or shaded one way or the other. So I don't trust anything in the media, not because it's dishonest, but because it's a lens is through someone's eye.
Right.
And that eye is going to say what it sees. The person who has the pen tells the story, all right? And as a writer, whatever you write is what we're going to listen to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't want to fall into the whole notion of right, wrong, or fair or not fair. What I will say is, for the ladies who are speaking up, I call them brave.
Yeah.
I don't even care what kind of whatever. To speak up takes more courage and more bravery than it does to be quiet. And I make a distinction between courage. Courage is taking action in the face of fear. Brave is running into the burning house knowing you could die, and you do it anyway for something greater. So I don't really have a high value on accuracy because memory changes on both sides of the coin. So that's not my fault. What I'm more interested in is that they had a platform to speak their truth, and it's opened up dialogue that we would never have had
That's true.
if they hadn't spoken up.
Yeah.
So for that, they get my loyalty and my love.
Yeah.
Amen.
And, hey, listen. You dropped the mic. I mean, I'm just look. The show is over. I don't know where to
This
go from there.
conversation's over.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'll just put Russell definitely dropped out of existence though for a minute.
Yeah,
You know
he
what I mean?
moved to
Like,
Bali as
yeah,
soon as the
he was like-
accusations
he-
came out. He left and went to Bali and just divested from all his businesses in hopes that the negative press wouldn't cause problems.
Right.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that he even did make a comment about Oprah. I thought he was just stay quiet.
Yeah,
What?
I'm just, whatever. I will just say that in his comment and when he was responding, he made mention of the 9 lie detector tests, and everybody knows that people can beat lie detector tests. That's why they're not admissible in court. Number one. Number two, he made in the comment. I don't have the text with me, but he said something to the effect of things that happened 30, 40 years ago in a different time, in a different whatever. And I'm like, whether it happened 30 years ago or 40 years ago, it happened in some way and in some version. And you do not deny that you were lacking in respect for women. So it's not a huge leap for us to believe that you crossed the line.
Right.
And the fact that it just seemed dismissive when he was like, oh, it was 30, 40 years ago.
Right.
Like, wow, I'm a different
Right.
person. Great, you're a different person, but you're still not owning up to that. So for me, he spoke guilt to me through his
Right. That statement alone.
his statements alone, and I just I'm appalled because, and it's like, look, everybody might not be telling the truth, but everybody ain't lying.
Right. There's always an element to with truth with everything.
You know what I'm saying? So maybe one of them, maybe y'all was both drunk and it went somewhere it shouldn't.
Right.
But then this other one over here, and then another one over there, and then another one over there. You want me to believe? Like, it's the same thing that happened with Cosby. Like, bro, you admitted you was drugging one chick. You think the other 75? We just
Even if
We don't believe you.
even if 62 out of the 75,
even if 1%,
no, 1%, right?
you went too far.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
and you have admitted
Yes.
that you didn't respect women and had your way the way you wanted when you wanted. So I don't, whatever.
Well, let me ask you this though, because you made a really relevant point. I'd like to give, especially the two females on the panel, their point of view on it. But you mentioned that Russell said he's very dismissive about it being 30 years ago. If Russell had come and said, yes, it was 30 years ago, and yes, I did do it, and I was a different person then, and I feel terrible about that, and I am trying to work on myself and move forward in my life. I have 2 daughters now. I don't want them to see me in that light. Would you be able to forgive him for what he did 30 years ago and
Would
accept his apology?
I be able to forgive him?
Both of you. Even Nick, would you be able to? No. I want to hear your opinion, Nick.
I don't necessarily think that forgiveness is the word because I'm not in. He didn't harm me. He needs
But
to
you
seek
feel a
forgiveness from
certain
those
way
people.
about him.
But I would have more respect for him because nobody stands up and says. Because look, we are not confused that the culture, like you said, rape wasn't even a crime until the 70s. Like, and husbands could rape their wives like nothing.
Yes.
So where anybody that is any kind of person of thought like understands that culturally things have shifted, and the things that we honor and respect as rape or sexual assault and things like that didn't exist. Certain sexual harassment wasn't sexual harassment 10 years ago.
That's true.
So if you can say that, like, in the context of the times, I was a pig. And I probably crossed some lines I shouldn't have crossed. But I get that legally you don't want to say that because then you don't want to make
Then you're
yourself
gonna-
liable.
then, yeah,
but it's one of those,
bigger.
just like you said, are you brave enough to run in the fire knowing you might not come out?
Yes.
If you really have changed and you really do receive that what you were doing was out of line, whatever out of line it was, you knew it was out of line, then you would not be afraid to stand up and say, yo, you know what? I was on some foul stuff back then.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm going to do everything I can now to
Make it right.
make it right.
I love that. I love that because what we're dealing with is impact, not intent. See, people talk about feelings and emotions and like, oh, I'm sorry. That has nothing to do with the impact of these women, real or imagined, for a little bit or a lot bit.
No.
They've been living with some things. And when you deal with impact versus your intention was, oh, I didn't mean, it's like someone who gets drunk and drives and kills somebody's kid. I ain't mean to kill the kid. I didn't mean it, but the kid is dead, and there's a motherless child, right?
Yeah.
So what I love about what you're saying is you're pointing to the notion of being accountable and responsible for the impact of the action, regardless of the context.
Yes.
Yeah.
Irregardless of the time, it doesn't. Whether you could be somebody's, God help me not curse. You can do bad things, and those bad things still have residue in grown people's lives
Right. Yeah.
in a very real way that shape their relationships, their trust,
That's true.
their ability to actually be intimate. This is real stuff. And people, suicide attempts, because no one said that they make it seem like you're lying.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that's the most damaging. I don't think the sex act is the damaging part. I think the damaging part is the impact of the silence.
And the dismissiveness probably as well.
And that's what I'm hearing these women say is, I'm a person. I have feelings. I'm not just an opportunity for you to get off.
Right.
And so I'm with you, and I'm here for the impact.
All right. Well, Nick.
So am I.
Yeah, I was like, Nick, I concur. All right, we're going to move on to our EUR Web Story Spotlight of the Week.
EUR Web Story Spotlight of the Week.
Well, someone who is not silent is Ava DuVernay.
That's right.
She was not.
She has not been silent on Twitter for several months now.
I know.
She's been going back and forth with several people, and Stephen King is new to her line of fire.
caught some smoke
He
from
caught
it.
some smoke. Let's just say there's some dust and smoke behind him. So we all know Stephen King, you know, from he's a horror icon.
brilliant writer.
Well, we are now in the we're 1 month out from the Oscars,
Yep.
and we dealt with this several years ago. A couple years ago.
do you mean?
I mean,
Several?
I wanted to be circle. I wanted to be circle. We
Last
dealt with this
week.
like last week, actually. Oscar's so white. Right. Oscar's so white.
Last week,
actually,
yesterday,
right.
down the
I
street.
wanted
2 hours
to be circle. Right, 2 hours
Around
ago
the
we dealt
corner,
with it. So,
outside them doors.
it's Oscar nomination time again. The Oscar noms were just put out this week, and we noticed once again a lack of diversity in our film nominations. In fact, the only real nomination for someone of color was our girl Harriet, who I love.
Yes.
Cynthia
Yeah, Cynthia.
Enrivo.
Worthy.
Very worthy of that award. I just talked to her at the Golden Globes, and she's the best.
Yes.
But let's just say that's the positive. The negative is, where was everybody else? Right? Where was everybody else? So, Ava was just expressing her opinions about, the lack of diversity in hashtag Oscars So White. Mr. Stephen King, also expressed his opinions about it. We all know that Stephen is one of the Academy members and has been voting for many, many years. And he had this to say because Ava, he had made a couple tweets about his voting process, and Ava was not too happy about it and was very vocal about that. And this is what Stephen had to say: "As a writer, I am allowed to nominate in just 3 categories: Best Picture, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Original Screenplay. For me, the diversity issue as it applies to individual actors and directors did not come up. That said, I would never consider diversity in the matters of art, only quality. It seems to me that to do otherwise would be wrong." And Ava clapped back and said she thought his comments were backwards and ignorant. Now, he has also come back again and tried to kind of explain his feelings of why he said what he said, but I don't think there's no coming back from it now, because now people going in on him. They don't even need Ava to go in on him. What do you think about him and his comments and his explanation on his lack of sense of diversity?
I would love to hear from the writer.
Stephen King is a great writer.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Langoliers is probably one of my favorite movies and my favorite Stephen King books. But also, side note, shout out to Matthew A. Cherry, who was also nominated.
Yes.
For his short.
Yes.
Yes, for his short. Yes.
But, Stephen, listen. The diversity isn't what you need to be talking about. Like,
That's your topic.
it's not. Yeah, like, sit down, eat your cheese sandwich, write your scary stories, and I understand he wants to be invited to the barbecue. I understand that he has been, like a voice for, and he has championed some of black issues and stuff like that. So
That's right.
let's not take all of that away from Stephen King.
Right.
And he's a whole lot better than that other Stephen King. But
Sure.
again, there are things that when you should when to talk and when to not talk. And just listen. If that wasn't your Kool-Aid, you had the lemonade over here, you was going for the Kool-Aid. Grape was for everybody else. You had the regular lemonade. All I'm saying is enjoy it.
Yeah.
Be quiet and watch the Oscars and Langoliers too, please.
Steven, you're so silly.
I am a fan.
I mean, I'm a fan of Steven, but I mean, it's one of those things. Is it white privilege? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because is he? But then it's like, how do you have just? We're in. Look at the news, bro. Like we're in a state of culture where you should not even be. Don't make any diversity comments, okay? Just like we're not in that place right now.
Well, see, I actually think it's interesting because I read over his tweets a couple times, and obviously I think the sentiment, when he said it's about access and we just don't have enough of it, and those are all good points. But I think it almost maybe it is a good thing that he did this because he made in the quote that you read, he was talking about it was about quality, right?
Right.
And I think what he missed in saying that is that quality is it's subjective.
Exactly.
And if you are only looking at quality through your subjectivity, you're
true.
probably going to miss something because
Love it.
you're old and you're white and you're in America. So you just don't have, so it's did you really not think out what you were saying, or are you really completely missing the fact that in your hunt for quality, you're actually skipping over things because you don't necessarily personally relate to them, and that doesn't determine their quality in one way or the other.
That's true.
I love it. When Kendrick Lamar won the Pulitzer,
That
there
was,
was a, but
that
it's,
was a
a,
moment.
it's deep, it's profound on so many levels, right?
was,
But
yeah.
the word on the street, not from black people, for people who are non-black, was like, oh, it diminished the Pulitzer because it was rap, right? And he was talking about a particular lived experience for a people, right? So the quality was staggering, but because they didn't have eyes to see it,
Right.
it now becomes less than.
Right.
And I love the responses on Twitter to that particular comment was as if diversity doesn't equal quality.
Right.
That you can't be diverse and quality
Right.
at the same time.
Yeah.
So diversity equals you're going to get a pass.
Right.
And you're going to do sloppy work and you're not going to be qualified. And that's the assumption behind his statement.
Yeah.
Is that diversity doesn't equal that you earned it. It means we gave you some favor.
Right.
And that's the argument. But I love what you stated about the lens, how he's going to see it. He's not going to see quality because his definition of quality doesn't match the current times.
Right.
You know, so.
That's why we're getting rid of the old guards.
And they're kicking and screaming. Oh my God, they are fighting.
They're trying to hold
That
on to the
last
doors. We're
breath
trying to
is
slam it
true.
down.
Yeah.
People fight the hardest before they die.
That's true.
Right? So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, y'all gotta go.
Y'all gotta go.
we tried. We really have tried. We've really tried. We've lived this for a very long time. And it's just, and I know that there's also the argument like, oh, you know, the Oscars should not determine the value of our art and this, that, and the other. And I've said this a million times before, and I'll keep saying it. As long as a culture, we accept the Oscars as
The standard.
a standard for high art, it does matter. And I think it should matter. And I don't think, that doesn't mean I don't think we should continue to super support the NAACP awards and we should be out there making our own stuff without needing that, you know, stamp of approval. But I do think that we should also continue to punch at that door because in the end, that Pulitzer, even though some of the people are saying like, oh, it brought it down, no, that means something. And maybe that doesn't mean something to everybody, but like me, huge reader, huge poet, like that changed something for
Didn't
me.
it? It makes it impossible.
And it's not something that I would be like ever thinking could ever happen. So
Or
I
a
don't.
young hip hop activist who's in the making right now, who sees that and
Exactly.
has something to look forward to and look up to, and you know, morphs their life. You know? So it's deep. You know, it's a deep thing. Now, my question also is that we've seen a little bit of change in TV. I mean, you obviously work in TV. You're seeing this every day. I see more people of color. We talk about how even on commercials, I'm like, wow, it's two of us now. In that
Why
commercial.
you got no job? I need to get some jobs.
It's two of us. So why is that not translated to film
Yet.
yet? But I would feel like it should by now because we've already had this situation before with Oscar So White.
The film industry is also kind of jacked up just because of like, I mean,
Who owns it?
Who owns it?
Right.
What makes money? Because I mean, when you talk about diversity in terms of film, like we can keep going. Like it's women, it's black, white, everything else, and also they don't make a lot of films on mid-level budgets anymore because supposedly they don't make money, and that's where you would get like these entrees into different areas of life and things like that. What sells is Marvel.
Right.
It's real.
What people buy tickets to is superheroes.
Right.
So until that shifts, if it does, I don't know. Some people said it'll completely collapse in a little bit anyway, and
Well,
we're
that's
not
true.
going to.
We're about to hopefully not have a strike, but they're talking about a strike. So we'll see.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. We don't want to.
We
Niggas
build
like
some
I'm
None of us
checks.
want that. None of us want
He's
that.
trying to get married. He's
Yeah.
got to buy a house.
This
That's why he has the ring off his finger.
This got
You
18
know,
more
he's
rings to
like-
add to his equation on his fingers. You know, all right, so we got to move on to the next subject, unfortunately, because we are running out of time because we're talking so much, which I love. Tyler Perry, speaking of Writers' Room. Tyler Perry
Rooms.
has also caught some heat because of his comments about his lack of Writers' Room. Several weeks back, he went viral because there was a statement about him writing all his own scripts and writing hundreds of scripts without Writers' Room, without a Writers'
posted
Room.
that on
And he
Instagram.
posted on Instagram, and he's been getting a lot of ham on that, and he's actually addressed it recently. He said he had a bad experience with a previous Writers' Room because the writers were turning in scripts that he had to pay for and repay for, and they were bad. So he decided to write them himself because he could write 18 Medeas, okay? He could write 18 Medeas by his damn self, all right? So he also added that, what takes him 2 weeks to write sometimes takes writers 6 months to write or months to write. So, therefore he said he ain't changing nothing. Y'all can get mad at him all you want to, but guess what? He is not changing shit. So, what y'all think about that?
How you feel like that?
How you feel about that, writer?
We know you in the writer's
How you
room.
feel about that?
Tyler. Also another fan.
Huge fan.
Here's the thing. No, so I read what Tyler said, and first of all, Tyler is a machine.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes, he is.
Like on the show that I work on, our showrunner who was writing on our show was also writing a movie, and has a family and this and that too. And I know he was busy, so to see the type of stress that he has to go through, I already know Tyler is going through X, Y, and Z, and he has a new kid. So, but again, every artist has their own process, and so whatever your thing is, then that's what you should do.
Right.
But he also said that he was taking a different ratings because of this and because of that. I mean, I think ratings was something else, but that's a totally different story. But I also saw that he is open to writers' rooms with a different showrunner. He just doesn't want to be in that room.
Right.
So the other thing that I was thinking, I was like, well, maybe you should have a mentorship program or
Sure,
something.
that's
that
a great
you
idea.
can, maybe help some young, budding scribes who happen to look like you.
But this is the challenge. We don't have the expectation of Stephen King. We don't have, hear my word. We don't have the expectation. If we just took it into a broader context, we don't have the expectation that an artist is taking jobs away from other potential writers who probably is a learning process to writing.
Right. Yeah.
That's doing a joke. You have to go hours and hours on stage just to get a joke and punchline. That's a setup and a punchline.
Right.
You spend a lot of time getting that solid. So to demand or expect a black man to be willing to do a writer's room so other people can learn from him positions him in a very awkward place.
Right.
It becomes an obligation, not a privilege or an honor. And I wouldn't want to do that. So I think there's something about our expectation of black people in power that has to be if you made it, you should lift me up as I come.
Right.
Okay. And I'm not saying no to that, but I think it goes back to quality. He gets to choose. As an artist, we have processes. Yep. And if you have to include other people so people don't get mad because you made it, then you're putting me in a box.
Right.
That's like putting T.D. Jakes in a box.
Right. He ain't gonna fit in the box.
No, he can't. He's so himself. And he's a mogul.
It sounded a little bit like
I
that.
wasn't
Even though I
trying to be
know
shade
it
like
was a
that.
shade.
I wasn't trying to throw shade. I really wasn't.
Pastor, Bishop, we didn't mean it. It just came out that way.
It came out that way. I love you.
We
didn't mean it
I'm
that
gonna go
way.
to church
We
and
love
I'm gonna go
you
to
too.
church and put
pray.
my holy water on and pray. I feel you. I can't really criticize Tyler Perry because he's employed so many damn black
Yes!
people. You know what I mean? And
Right.
I mean, a lot of people I think were also taking it as he was being, kind of self-boasting of, and taken away from writers and putting people on to make money. But my thing is he really has
He's changed the game.
he changed the game. So
changed
how can
the
we really be
game.
mad? So I mean, Courtney thinks differently.
No, I support Tyler and the machine that he has established because he found a lane and his lane works. Yeah. And it is not for me to determine whether or not he should change or open up some new lanes. But I would suggest that maybe the mentorship thing is a cool thing. Okay. Perhaps. And I mean, because I don't want to, obviously in terms of Tyler, I'm a fan of Tyler. I'm not a fan of Tyler's work. Mm-hmm. So I understand the criticism of his work, and I do think that some of the things that he's done, not everything, I think some things have its lane, like have and have nots and those kind of things. Those are what they are, and I receive them and love them and whatever. But I do think there are other things that he has done that could have been taken to the next level if he was open to, how did I get married? Could have been more than it was. Not that it was bad.
Right.
I just think that creatively there are other levels that I think he could reach as well. Okay. And I think that and maybe he's fine, whatever. I think that as a creative, you're not losing when you collaborate with other creatives.
I think you lose
all the time.
Well, I would
not all
that.
the time.
And I think that's a fair assessment. But if you collaborate, it should be by choice, not obligation.
Oh, for sure.
And
I don't think he's obligated to do anything.
No,
he should continue.
Not you. I was just thinking about the positioning in terms of the Twitter stuff. But I also think that when you were talking about creatively to up-level his creativity, there's a market that he has literally, that lane, that loves him. Mm-hmm. And if we look at, if we compare, and this is not a good comparison, right? But it's the best I got right now. If we compare his market to Trump's market, it has the same loyalty.
That's true.
Okay, because it's
true.
speaking directly to a
them.
particular pain point.
That's very true.
Right? So it's not designed to be creatively.
Exactly.
You know, it's not. It wasn't built for that. It was
Yeah.
built for a particular group of people who needed to see themselves represented.
For sure.
And that gives us a different kind of diversity. But I think it'd be great to have more Tyler Perrys versus having him do it. And I love that he built his plant. I love that he built his studio on a plantation.
He did.
I'm
He
still
did.
back
I
from
did.
Atlanta, so I fully receive that
Yeah.
in ways you can't even imagine. Because whatever. But I want to correct myself. I didn't mean how did I get married. I meant Colored Girls because that was my life.
Oh, yes.
And I was very upset with what he did with it. But
I think a woman should have done that. I have theories. But
that's
I
another-
got you.
sorry,
I got you.
I didn't
got you.
mean. Yeah, I just
I
want to
thought
correct
you were
that.
gonna say boo, but
Wow.
just
I love us.
boo and boo to again funny movies, Tyler. But I think that he's doing great, but as a young black writer, I don't think he's taking away jobs.
Okay.
I just think that he should, and yes, I am putting this on Tyler just because of what he's been able to do. And I think that like we look at him as like, oh, like I can maybe do this.
Absolutely.
But maybe just show me like what's a good, should I do this or should I do this? Like should I do A, should I do B? You know, and then just kind of give us you know.
Well, that's a master class.
But do you think that he's
Yeah.
afraid that it's going to change his formula too much by incorporating other writers in that sense?
That's what he said. That's
I mean, that's essentially what-
Well, I mean, that is. I guess that is
what he
essentially
said.
what
He
he
wants
said.
control.
So
He wants control. Yeah. In so many words, it's the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's also, if you, how can I say this? I think that if we think about him as a creative, that's different than thinking of him as a businessman.
For sure.
So and this may be just where I stand. I love him as a businessman. I don't really, I don't care what he does. I just like that he did it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and the fact that he's building out studios
Yeah.
that we can come to, that's to me is the mentorship.
Right.
Is the modeling. Because a master class, some people can't teach. Not every artist.
It's true. No,
That is very true.
And not every
Very, very
artist,
true.
you don't want them to teach you.
Right.
They may leave you damaged.
You feel really damaged. Listen, Tyler, if you want to hit me and Courtney up about the Oval and have us, make an appearance.
Why you keep
I'm
leaving
here
us
for
out?
that.
I received that.
This was
We
a
can do a
family
whole-
thing.
I mean, the family. Oh, we the new Oval.
It would be the Black View.
We can
talking about
Oh,
what's going on in the White House.
I love
what I'm
it.
saying?
Oh my God.
We got a story.
We are so here. I see a
We're here
pitch.
for. I
Yes.
receive it.
Oh my
I receive
God.
it.
You
I receive
need
it.
this, Tyler. We are here
You
for
need this.
you.
We got
Oh my
you.
God.
We
We're
got
here for
you.
you.
A black view.
A black view. We need
Black
it.
View talking about the Oval.
I love
about the
this.
Oval.
The Oval Office.
You are so
The
smart.
Oval.
I
She
try.
is. That's why we keep her.
Gosh. Give me some checks.
Get some checks. Get some checks. All right, we got
We
to
have
wrap up, so we
interviews.
want to
We
hear
gotta know what's
about
going
the
on
raw
with you
truth.
guys.
Dr. Venus, tell us about the raw truth. Your book.
Okay, I have a new book out. It's called The Raw Truth: A Pimp Daughter's Diary, and it's a lot. It specifically concerns my background of coming off the streets and the absence of my father as a presence. If my father had been around, I don't know if I'm pretty confident that my life would have gone a different direction, but I'm not saying that's better or worse. All right. So I'm doing a tour. It's called the Raw Truth Book Plus Tour. Pimp Slap the Past into Peace, Pain, Purpose, and Profits. Because you have to have money in order to finance your dream.
That is the
That
truth.
is
So
true.
I
Damn
was
sure
able
true.
to take my pain and pimp it, my language, into $5 million in 6 years.
All right.
And
now.
so money is very easy for me. I can hear what people will buy from you, but that's a street thing, right? So part of what I'm really continuing with is embracing the street in all of us and having it be a positive, not a negative. So the raw truth is a raw account is sexually explicit, it's a lot. And it's for grown folks. Don't give it to your babies. Don't no, you need to be 18 years old to read this book. Don't you
18
give it
and
to
older.
you. Don't do it. I ain't going to jail. I want no problems. I want no hate mail. I want no tweets. Like, look, Dr. Venus said what? I'm like, yeah, I did say it. So it's not even. It's very explicit. It's the X-rated. But if you have the courage and if you're brave and you're willing to confront those places where you've been lying to yourself, it will be a roadmap. It will mentor you in how to actually heal the self-hate that's done by socially acceptable acts like drinking and partying and street stuff.
So, for the people who are listening and watching who aren't in California or LA, where's the tour? Where can they see you and get a
How
book
do they get
signed?
information
And
about it?
So the best place to go to, I don't want to mess up the dates, but we are touring nationally, right? So this is San Diego. No, Santa Monica. I'm going to get it right. We're doing that now. We're doing this weekend. But if you want to see me on tour, if you want to get an autograph, if you want to see the play, just go to rawtruthbook.com. rawtruthbook.com/tour. And you'll get all the dates, all the information, and I would love to come see you. I would love to hug you on tour.
She the truth. Y'all need to go
She
buy this
is.
book and
Buy the
see her
book,
for
read
real.
it.
I'm gonna go just to hang out with her.
We got
Y'all will see Black Hollywood
We're
Live
gonna
up in
have
there
a
too.
party.
Nick, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Tell
Where
us
is
what's
that?
going on.
What's going on?
5 seasons, right?
And no,
wow.
we're season 8. There.
Victory
Victory is
is
yours. Yes,
Happy
yes,
birthday.
yes.
Engine
So
that
you
good.
February 6th, season premiere, season 7
Coming back.
on NBC, 9 o'clock. Check local listings, all that fun stuff. But yes, we're back, and NBC renewed us again. So
Yes, they
you know,
did.
we
Love
get
it.
to go
Keep
back
renewing.
to work, and it's great. And you know, they allowed me to write a script, and so you know, this season, all I can say is hang on to your butts. Right?
on to your butts.
You can say other things.
We're trying so hard.
fine.
Maybe we'll sweat.
It's okay.
But you gotta tell us a little bit, Nick,
Yeah,
like
give us
how you
something.
started at Brooklyn Nine-Nine to where, because you're a writer now, but like you came from something.
I started here,
Tell-
Courtney.
tell-
Is that
tell
what
the
you're saying?
kids.
What was your show
No,
called?
I was actually talking about how you started at Brooklyn Nine-Nine. and
No, well,
ended
yeah,
up
so,
actually
so
writing the script.
abbreviated version is, you know, I did a podcast here, then we moved to Black Hollywood Live, and then from that met Prentice Penny, who is now doing Uncorked, and he's the showrunner of Insecure, and he was working on Brooklyn then, and you know, like I don't want to say I owe my career to Prentice, but you know, Prentice is an amazing
But you met him.
human.
You met
Him here.
at Black
At
Hollywood
Met
Live.
him,
Black
met him
Hollywood
here.
Live.
So Derrial, I told you the abbreviated version.
happening?
Excuse me, the network that I created. I just want to acknowledge.
On AfterBuzz TV,
I just wanna
it
acknowledge
was Happy
this.
Endings. That was the first time we met
right.
Prentice, and then it was Black Hollywood Live next. Prentice came in, brought us Golden Globe. You're welcome, Derrial. And that was the Brooklyn Nine-Nine season 1 Golden Globe. That he
So you
that he brought
technically
in.
owe me a check.
Oh, wow.
I'm just playing.
sure,
Go ahead.
sure.
Yeah. I'll wait for that in the mail. Yeah. No, keep going. Sorry.
But yeah, so I mean, you know, and it's fun, and you know, we have an amazing writers room, and we're with a bunch of creatives, and you know, like we have fun, we get to tell jokes, and you know, Terry Crews is great, and Andre Brower does some. Woo!
Great
Listen,
work.
Oh my God, we got him to do some stuff this season, you guys.
We're ready.
We're ready for it.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Well, if y'all did all that for him, I want to know what y'all going to do for me. I'm at the table now, all right? So I'm glad I found this all happen.
We got the black
got
view.
the black view.
We're
We're making moves.
We got
We're
right
making
up.
moves.
Well, Nick,
Yes.
real talk, we are super proud of you, man.
We're
We were
so
glad that you
proud.
wanted to come on the show today.
Yeah, wanna hang out,
Don't forget us black folks,
I
you know what I'm
know.
saying, as you keep venturing on and becoming a head writer
Keep
and
writing.
and writing all these
You
great
need somebody
series.
for a cameo.
Yeah.
Listen,
yeah.
All right.
you're
My
just
other
the guy
eye is
there.
working.
I'm a writer. All right. So, you know, I write.
Nah,
She does right.
I'm buying this. I'm gonna go online and I'm going to
I
order.
would give it to you.
No, I'm gonna. I
Would
wanna
you
buy
really buy it?
Yeah,
Yes,
no,
because he's
no,
getting
no,
Brooklyn
no,
Nine-Nine
I
check.
will.
I know you
I'll
did.
take
I
this
want to.
one.
I will go in my. I'm gonna go right
cut
now.
it in the
You
middle.
know what?
I'll
And you should
read
text
the
me.
first
You
half,
can
we'll read
take
the
a
second
picture.
half and switch.
You know what? You're so wrong. You know what?
No, we said.
Ghetto.
No,
I
we said.
would.
He's got the
we said he's
Brooklyn
got the
Nine-Nine
Nine-Nine
checks. We'll take this one
and
and
split it in
share
half. When you're done with your half, I'll give you my half.
That's so
I'm just
wrong.
playing. I'm gonna buy it
They
too.
split the kid down the middle.
2020, guys.
It's 2020. Okay, where can everybody be found on social media? We're gonna start with Dr. Venus.
You can find me, Dr. Venus Opal Reese. You can just look me up, or Black Woman Millionaire. Anyone, you can find me. Just Twitter is Dr. Venus O Reese.
Okay.
Facebook is Dr. Venus Opal Reese, and it's Venus, Dr. Venus Opal Reese.
Go her.
Nick,
Thank you.
It's still the Nick Perdue all over the internet, guys.
all over the internet. Who figured it?
I'm still at Stewart Starlet, and yeah, I'll be back next week.
I'm at Derrial Christon. I'll be back next week, and you can catch me on a new season of CBS's This Is LA coming out. A couple weeks, probably, about that. So, and we'll be also supporting Dr. Venus.
I know.
So buy that book
Yes.
and watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yes.
Next month.
Look for Nick's credits.
Yes.
I was so proud when I saw his credits.
We're all gonna be recording
I
on
was
the
just- I
night that
slowed
it
it down on my
airs.
digital. I was so
great.
proud.
This
We're
was
gonna
so
post it.
much
proud.
fun. I want to say thank you to everybody for including me. Let me be myself.
Please come back.
For sure.
I would be
Welcome
honored.
anytime.
And Nick, you're brilliant, and I love the way you're able to diffuse a tense moment with your humor. It's really nice. It's a gift,
dope.
and it's nice, and I appreciate it because I get hot real quick. So, you're like, let me help you understand. We're going to go to the barbecue. So,
We got this covered.
It's been great.
All right, y'all. Well, have a great weekend. Welcome 2020. I mean, I know it's been a couple weeks, but it feels like it's just been running since we got
It
here.
has.
So, lots of good things coming up. We'll see you
yes.
soon.
BHL staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in to Black Hollywood Live, the world's first digital broadcast network devoted entirely to urban entertainment and pop culture. Check out our Black Hollywood Live YouTube page for even more great programming and amazing content, and be sure to subscribe and like our channel when you do. I'm your BHL host, Nakia Monet, and you can find me on all social media at Kiki Boom Boom or at Black Hollywood Live. Black Hollywood Live, Hollywood redefined.